Hey everybody, how's everybody doing? Hopefully everybody's enjoying their Thursday night. As always, I like to take this time and wish all the people that are working out there right now, the labs, everything, scientists, working on labs, trying to find a vaccine, a cure for this pandemic that's going on right now. We're all rooting for you and we're all, wishing you guys and, the best and, giving you guys thoughts and prayers every day because I can't imagine how that must feel. So we're wishing you guys the best. As always, wash your hands before every meal and after every meal. And as always, if you're gonna cough, cough on your elbow. Always have some hand sanitizer ready for you because that thing is a miracle worker. And for the ones that are in quarantine right now, the ones that are at home, take this time to take care of your mind, take care of your body. Self medicate, and just enjoy the time with your loved ones right now, and just try to stay sane, try to just enjoy it, enjoy the time off with your loved ones. And I know it's kind of a different thing that we're trying to get accustomed to, but as long as we all do our part, there's no doubt in my mind this thing will go away sooner rather than later. It will get better, I know that. And something will change eventually, and the sooner we'll do our part, the sooner we all get to go back to living normal lives. So there's just do the little things right, guys, and we'll get go back to normal lives. I do want to take this time though to have my thoughts and prayers out there for the Finkel family. If you're a wrestling fan or a huge wrestling fan back in the day like I was, we just found out today that Howard Finkel, the Fink, the famous ring announcer, has passed away today at the age of 69. And it's a shame because he was one of the best announcers out there, and he can really rile up a crowd. And it's a shame that he passed away today at 69. But to the Finkel family, my thoughts and prayers go out to you guys, and rest in peace, Howard. We're gonna miss you, man. And hopefully you're calling those great matches up in the big ring up in heaven now. So where you should, that's what I like to think. But you know, my thoughts and prayers out to the Finkel family out there. So let's go try to cheer up. Let's go try to turn this into a cheerful mood. Today, the Tennessee Titans are on the clock. And for anybody that believed that the Titans were going to go to the AFC Championship game, you guys are a bunch of liars. I don't want to hear it. That I always believe. Don't give me none of that crap because that's not true. And happy late B day. Thank you, Alfred. I appreciate that, man. And on Monday, we're going to do a final mock. And I heard today your Broncos are trying to trade up. You guys trying to go for a wide receiver? But we'll see about that. We'll discuss that more on Monday. But today, the Titans, they finished the year 9-7. But before we get into their season, I like to review their draft class from a year ago today, or a year ago this time. And I can't believe next week, next Thursday, is draft day. It is round one, and the excitement's getting there. It's getting better. It's going to get there, and I can't wait. It's going to be an exciting night. But last year, with the first round pick, the Titans went Jeffrey Simmons, the defensive tackle out of Mississippi State. He did have a little bit of baggage coming in because that video did show into the surface again of him, beating up a woman, in school. And it was just one of those things. He should have known better. I mean, he was a kid at that time. He was in high school, but he should have known better. Don't ever put your hands on a woman. But he learned from it, and I hope he did learn from it, and hopefully he never gets caught in that situation again, and hopefully he learned better of it. But as far as the season went, he only played in 9 games due to a couple of injuries and healthy scratches, but he had 32 tackles and 2 sacks, so really not what you're looking for out of your first round, pick. You want a little bit more productivity in the first rounders because that's the guy that's going to change the franchise around. But 9 games, 32 tackles, 2 sacks. Hopefully he comes back healthier, and we'll see what he's made of. Second round, this was actually a little bit of a better pick. AJ Brown, the wide receiver out of Ole Miss, 52 receptions, 1,051 yards, and 8 touchdowns, and was a finalist for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Yep, it was between him, Josh Jacobs, and Kyler Murray, and we all know how that turned out. Kyler Murray won Offensive Rookie of the Year, but AJ Brown was a finalist for Offensive Rookie of the Year. So yeah, Jonathan Avalos with a comment, beast. Yeah, he did his thing, man, and he did his thing. I mean, now it's going to be what he happens to him from year one to year two, but I think there's no doubt in my mind that he'll be fine. Especially with Tannehill back, I'm sure he'll be just as good. Third round, they actually found a starting offensive lineman in Nate Davis out of UNC Charlotte. He's one of those interior linemen that he can play guard, he could play center, and he could be a swing tackle in situational plays. But they had him at right guard, and due to the loss of Quentin Spain, they found his replacement, and it was what you expect out of a rookie offensive lineman. Up and downs, peaks and valleys, but he held his own, and hopefully he learns from his mistakes and he gets better from here on out. Fourth round, Amani Hooker. Yes, that's right. Amani Hooker, safety. I know, but what are you gonna do? So he played in all games, but he was a special teamers, 19 tackles. Not much to it other than special teams depth, and like I always say, special teams are 1/3 of the game, and he excelled in his position at the special teams. So I mean, you can't ask for any more than that. Fifth round, DeAndre Walker, the outside linebacker out of Georgia. No stats, only due to the fact that he was a healthy scratch. He did not play one game. They were just, they were fine defensively. He was just in the back burner of the defensive room, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, being a fifth round pick, though, I mean, he's trying to fight for his job, and I think eventually he will get it playing time. It's just time will tell. Sixth round, David Long Jr. 14 games, 15 tackles, one forced fumble, and one pass deflection. Again, just situational role player and special teams guy. But overall, Tennessee did have a good draft. It's just if Simmons performed a little better, it probably been regarded as one of the better drafts from last year. It's just, that first round pick kind of killed them. But other than that, for you to get a starting wide receiver, starting right guard, and two special team aces at this point, you can't ask for more than that. You can only hope that AJ Brown, Nate Davis continue to do what they do, and Jeffrey Simmons, picks up the pace next year heading into year two. So as I mentioned, 9-7 wild card. They were the number 6 seed. Before all this, though, they were kind of in turmoil. They were 2-4 heading into their bye week, and after the bye week, Mike Vrabel made the decision to bench Mariota, who is now with the Raiders as a backup to Derek Carr, and put in Ryan Tannehill. This was a move looked at the beginning when they did this as, the Titans season's over, only due to the fact that Ryan Tannehill did not have the best rep coming out of Miami. He didn't do enough in Miami, and that's why they let him go. And they made the trade for him, and they started him, and they said, all right, well, we got nothing to lose now. So at that point, Tennessee, they made the decision that Marcus Mariota was not going to come back next year, and that they were probably going to have to find, their next guy, which Mike Vrabel had, another year to do anyway. So, I mean, they weren't going to fire him after 2 years. So he had another year to find his guy. But lo and behold, the Tennessee Titans, they turned it around. And then, yeah, we'll get more to that with Jonathan's comment. So 2-4, and they ended up finishing 9-7. Looking at it from a perspective, Ryan Tannehill did just enough not to mess up offensively. Like, they did enough to where simple play calls, and when you have a running back like Derrick Henry behind you, it's all good. I mean, he was a beast. Derrick Henry is now showing that why he's one of the better running backs in the game. And, you know, he led the league in rushing with 1,540 yards, and he tied the league in touchdowns with 16. And he rushed the most attempts with 303. So that was an average of 5 yards a carry every time he held onto the ball. And he had added his total yardage with 18 receptions, 206 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So, when you have a running back like Derrick Henry, I mean, it makes your life easier because you don't have to worry about, you one guy trying to bring him down. It's going to take 3, 4 guys trying to bring a big man like that down. So, he's out of this world, man, and that's a powerful back to bring down. So, I mean, Tennessee, yeah, roll tide, yeah. I mean, that's what he is. He's a product of an Alabama running back. I mean, the bigger they are, the better they are. So that's what it was. So 9-7, they had to win the final week in order to get into the playoffs. Well, they won, and it was all set in stone. Whether everybody did their all jobs, as long as Tennessee won, they were still getting in. So that's how they ended up getting the 6th seed. So on the wild card, they had to play the Patriots. They beat the Patriots. It was a little bit of both. They couldn't really stop Henry, and it's just the defense was just too much for New England that day. As you can tell, as I mentioned before, Tom Brady's last throw was a pick 6 in Foxborough, so they beat him in Foxborough, and everybody kind of doubted of heading into the next week. They had to play the Ravens, who went 14-2, were the #1 seed, and was like the high flying offense, the show to see, and very little people have faith that Tennessee can do it. Well, they did it. They beat Tennessee at Baltimore, and they handled them. They handled them pretty bad. I think there was at one point where I think we've all seen the video where Derrick Henry stiff arms Michael Thomas, and if you look at the picture a second or two later, it looks like Earl Thomas is a lead blocker for Derrick Henry. I'm telling you, he's just a big dude to bring down one-on-one. You need multiple guys, but Earl Thomas, he can do it, and he didn't, and that was the end of Baltimore season. And they handled Tom Brady, they handled Lamar Jackson, and then they had to head up to Kansas City, and that's where the magic stopped. It's they did everything they could. It's just, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs offense was a little too much that day, and that happens. I mean, there's no shame in that. Kansas City is one of the better offenses in the league right now, so no shame in only losing up to 10 points at Arrowhead. So, I mean, for Tennessee, it was a great year for them. They did everything they could. It's just they were one game away from the Super Bowl, and they were the runner-ups in the AFC. So, there's a lot of positivities. There's a lot of positives heading into next year for Tennessee. Your starting quarterback coming back, as Jonathan mentioned, and then that they signed Ryan Tannehill to an extension. They did, and they tagged Derrick Henry. I kind of thought it was kind of weird that you're going to tag the man who kind of carried you into the AFC Championship game, but give an extension to a guy who kind of has a losing record as a starting quarterback. But I'm not working for the front office of Tennessee, so that was their call. And so now Derrick Henry's on a tag, and Ryan Tannehill's coming back. Everybody from the offensive side is coming back, and the defensive side's only going to get better. So, offseason hits, they signed Vic Beasley from Atlanta, a former first-round pick. I just think what it was is he got hot in the beginning. Teams figured him out, and he just could never recover from there. Whether it was injuries or whether it was just, teams just figured him out, we don't know. But him being a linebacker and Mike Vrabel being a former linebacker himself, I'm sure that's going to be a great help to Vic Beasley to kind of get a resurgence in his career again. So we'll see what happens there. Then Michael Pruitt, he's coming back. Camila Carrera, the linebacker, he's coming back to Tennessee. Tyson Braulio, journeyman offensive lineman, is now heading to Tennessee after finishing his time in Atlanta for a couple of years. So he's coming back. And that was actually kind of a significant signing, only due to the fact that Jack Conklin left Tennessee to go play for the Browns. So, that right tackle spot is a need now. Jack Crawford, the journeyman defensive lineman from Atlanta. So a lot of these Atlanta guys are heading to, you know, to Tennessee. So he's coming to play on the defensive line. Uh, Nick Dusbar from, the Chargers. He's coming to Tennessee now, another linebacker. And Chris Milton re-signed for Tennessee. So what they did really was just get a few free agents from the outside, but they really wanted to keep everything in-house. And I think that's always the better option to go because they know what the players, they know what the system's going to run. They know how it's going to be. So familiarity is always the key. And I like that. I really do like that. The only negative I would say is, again, Ryan Tannehill got an extension for practically being at the right place at the right time. But the thing I, mentioned a few videos ago was if you're a quarterback and you have one great year, you're going to get your money's worth. I mean, that's just the way it is now. You have one good year and you get your money. I mean, I'll put it to you like this. If Blake Bortles can get an extension, anybody can get an extension. That's just the way the NFL is now. You got to have a quarterback. So, I mean, that's what it is. You get a quarterback and then you do your thing. It's just a shame that after all the time Derrick Henry had to kind of be the backup to DeMarco Murray when he was there. Then he took over, showed his worth. That was his first year. His second year as a starter, showed his worth again. And then this year, being on his last year, he led the league in rushing. He tied in touchdowns and had the most attempts out of any running back. So his usage was, he has some usage on those tires now. And it's just a shame that he did everything to carry that team on his back, and they tagged him. I don't get it. Me personally, I've said it before. I would want the NFL tag and the next CBA to be dismissed. I would want to vote on, hey, no more players getting tagged. It's either you pay up or they go somewhere else. I never liked the tag. I thought it was stupid. It's a stupid concept to begin with because you can tag a player, and then if a player gets hurt, well, you can rescind the tag, and then you get your money back as a franchise, but the player gets left with nothing. I always found that a stupid rule. And we have a question from Jonathan. I have a question. Do the Titans go back to the AFC title game with another good draft class plus the offseason additions and free agency? I'm gonna say no. My reason is everybody now knows where the ball's going. So everybody knows now where that Derrick Henry's going to get the ball, and they're going to force Ryan Tannehill to make complete throws. And I just think that they're going to use Derrick Henry too much, that it's just not going to look as good next year. I like Derrick Henry. I mean, it's kind of cool when you see a man that his size make the cool plays that he does, but I just think everybody now knows that where the ball's going to go, and it's probably going to make it tougher for him to run. So I don't think so. But I mean, they're going to be a good team. They're just, AFC title game again. No, I don't think so. It's just now it's going to really be on Ryan Tannehill's shoulder, and then everybody in Tennessee is going to realize this is why Miami cut him. But as I mentioned before, you have one good year and you get the money as a quarterback. So it's only going to be a matter of time before Patrick Mahomes makes, like, I don't know, throw me a number, $45 million a year. I mean, if Aaron Rodgers is close to making 35, I mean, I'm pretty sure Patrick Mahomes wants another 10. So, I mean, it is what it is. So, but no, I don't think they go back to the title game. So, overall, the Titans are in a good state. They have a good head coach. They have depth and they have the roster to compete. It's just now it's up to Ryan Tannehill to really put his money where his mouth is and make the throws. You can't keep winning games when you're only throwing for 150 yards a game. You're going to have to sometimes take over, and we'll see if he's got it. So, with all that being said, it is now time for my prediction on who I think the Tennessee Titans are going to take with the 29th pick. And just to think, 1 week from today, that sounds going to be official. And around this time, round one should be almost over. So, we're excited and we can't wait. I mean, I'm excited to see what happens and what unfolds. Before I get to this pick, tomorrow is Green Bay. I did have a guest, unfortunately, with scheduling conflict. He won't be able to do it. Saturday, I do have a guest for the 49ers, my good buddy George. So he will join us on Saturday. And then Sunday, we wrap it up with Kansas City, the defending Super Bowl champs. And Monday, I give my final mock draft. And then I'll see you guys probably that next Thursday for draft day. We'll be going live. I'll be at my brother's garage. We'll be watching the draft live. And, we'll all join in. Hopefully all of you guys can join in, and we'll make it a big live YouTube live party, and have reactions coming from everywhere. So hopefully you guys can join, and hope to see you guys there. But tomorrow's Green Bay. So but to right now, with the 29th pick in the 2020 NFL draft, the Tennessee Titans select Austin Jackson, offensive tackle, USC. As I mentioned earlier, Jack Conklin did leave. He did leave to go play for the Browns. So now you kind of have to find his replacement. And Austin Jackson is, he's a really good offensive tackle. He's a solid offensive tackle. I don't think he's the most polished man, but what I think he does bring is athleticism. And he's probably one of the better, you know, gravity to low center gravity offensive tackles in this draft. And his intangibles are what you would think. He's 6'5", 322, 34 arm inch length, 10 and a half hand size, or 10 and a quarter hand size. He ran the 40 in 5.07, but his 10-yard split is a 1.73. And just a reminder, a 10-yard split is really more important for the offensive lineman than it is, the whole 40, because that 10-yard split shows you how fast, in a running play, how fast you can get from the line of scrimmage to the 10 yards. So 1.73 is, one of the better ones in this year's combine. 27 bench press, a 31-inch vertical, a 9.7 feet broad jump, and a 7.95 3-cone drill. So he tested like an offensive tackle. That's your solid offensive tackle numbers. He's going to take over that right spot only due to the fact Taylor Lewan is at left tackle, and now you got Roger Saffold as your guard. You got Curran coming back at your center. Nate Davis, who competed for the right guard, kept it, will be back. And like I said, it's going to be between him and Ty Marino from, who they signed from Atlanta. And, he'll compete for the right tackle spot. And we have a comment here, Jonathan. I love it. He's a beast. Fight on. Yeah, the whole fight on thing. Yeah, I get it. USC, whatever. But he's a really good player. He's a really good player. As I mentioned earlier, he's a really good bender. He knows how to get low against speed rushers, and he has one of the best, lower center of gravity of positioning his body right. He's one of the best to do it out there coming out of this draft class. As a freshman, he played all 14 games, but he only appeared as a reserve all lineman and a special teams unit guy. So just, field goals, punts, all that stuff. And his sophomore year, they named him the starter. He started all 12 games and never looked back. His junior year, however, kind of took a weird turn. Before the season started, not a lot of people know this, he donated bone marrow to his sister because she was fighting a disease, and the sister's fine. And obviously, as you can see, he's fine. He gained back his playing weight, and it looked like he never lost a step. So, I mean, for him to do that and put his career on, kind of a jeopardy thing, it's kind of a, it was very brave of him, but that's the love of family, man. You can do anything for, your loved ones. But he came back and he dominated. Julian Garcia, question. Please speak about the Titans running back situation. Draft a running back, maybe? Okay. I understand a running back might be a need only due to the fact that Derrick Henry can't carry the team alone. Dion Lewis left. However, the problem is the NFL has really, how can I say this, turned away from drafting running backs in the first round unless that's like your need. If you really need a running back, you will get a running back in the first round. It's just teams have, kind of turned away, drafting one in the first round. The Raiders are, last year they drafted, Josh Jacobs in the first round, but that's because it was a need. They did need a running back. And John Garcia, great value at that high of a spot. Um, Again, I just don't see it because they have Derrick Henry. They're thinking their running back might be a need, but maybe down the road. I think their biggest needs right now is offensive linemen and cornerbacks and maybe another linebacker. But running back, I don't think it's that great of a need what people are making it out to be. But as I was saying, he dominated his junior year. He won offensive lineman, of the week in week 2 after his performance against Stanford. And in 2019, he was the All Pac-12 first team. As I mentioned before, Tennessee, their need is offensive linemen and corner. So it could be lineman, it could be corner. It depends on who's left. But Austin Jackson, I think, would be a great fit for Tennessee. He's a power blocker, and if they're going to run power football, well, you need power blockers, and I think this is a perfect fit for Tennessee at that point. And as I mentioned earlier, they could always use another running back, but it's just there's no Saquon Barkley's this year. There's none of that. There's no Adrian Petersons this year. There's none of that. So I mean, DeAndre Swift might be the only running back taken in the first round, and if maybe either J.K. Dobbins from Ohio State or Jonathan Taylor from Wisconsin, maybe they'll get lucky and maybe they'll be 2. But it's very rare now that a running back gets drafted in the first round. I mean, if Josh Jacobs had to wait till pick 24 and Saquon Barkley was like the ultimate running back, prospect coming out, then maybe, I mean, I don't think he'll be there when Tennessee picks again, but if he's there, I say, why not Jonathan Taylor to the Tennessee? That'll be cool. I mean, that'll be kind of an unfair advantage for the rest of the NFL to have Derrick Henry and Jonathan Taylor, but I mean, it is what it is. But I don't think they're going to go running back high. I think it's going to be offensive tackle corner or corner offensive tackle, depending on how they feel the draft is playing out on day 1. But as I mentioned, running backs, they don't get the love anymore. And I think that really does have to do to the fact of 2015. All the running backs that were chosen, like Todd Gurley and Melvin Gordon, those guys are no longer on their team. And that was in 2015. That was just 5 years ago. So running backs aren't highly coveted unless it's really a need or he's a once-in-a-generational talent. And I just don't see Tennessee drafting a running back. But that's going to do it for today's episode. I want to thank Joan Garcia and Jonathan for commenting today. And just another note for you. Austin Jackson's grandfather, Melvin Jackson, also played at USC, and he was a right guard for the Green Bay Packers, which brings up to tomorrow's video. Green Bay is on the clock. They were the runner-ups in the NFC. They lost to the 49ers. They had a good year. It just, no matter what, it seems like they had to play San Francisco, and they got blown out by San Francisco not once, but twice this last season. So, tomorrow is going to be an interesting pick. There's already rumors going around that, hey, maybe Aaron Rodgers is going to get the Brett Favre treatment, and maybe they'll draft a quarterback in the first round and, have him sit. And then when it's Aaron Rodgers' time to go, all right, here comes the kid that has been sitting for 3-4 years. And it's like, all right, switch. But we'll see. We'll see what happens tomorrow, and I'll try to make the best out of it. So tomorrow, Green Bay. So I hope you guys tune in tomorrow. So have a wonderful night. And it's Friday tomorrow, guys. Get excited. I'll have a wonderful night. Was there any questions on